Well, for a start, Christopher Adlam, we're Dealey Environmental. We're not meant to be called pest controllers these
Oh,
days
my
because
apologies.
I know it became a very splitting hairs argument between the primary geeks of the industry who all decided that, well, no, we should be called pest managers, and then eventually we should be called environmental services people. Essentially, the job hasn't changed, and this is something that I should probably bring across, in that the job hasn't changed since the 1800s, not very much anyway. Fundamentally, we're still dealing with the same things with the same biology. But yeah, a bit of background on Dealey Environmental, where we started in the 1950s by a bug geek who also liked farming, and he sort of brought the two things together in a very local, yokel way. And he was called Dr. Dealey, and that's why we're called Dealey Environmental. He had two doctorates in entomology, so he started from a place of advantage when it comes to pest control. He knew his enemy very well. Yeah, none of us are degree level. Let's just throw that out there. A lot of people that come to work for Dealey Environmental are people who have very few qualifications indeed. But as it was explained to me, there are different kinds of cleverness. Cleverness to do book learning from school, people telling you how to do this and then you do it. Yeah, there's that. But then there's also the sort of the streetwiseness of thinking on your feet and being able to solve tricky problems using initiative. Would probably be the boring corporate buzzword, but it's just being a little bit coy, being a little bit clever. So yeah, in pest control, there's not a day goes by where you're not learning something, and it's something entirely new. And it's the great benefit of the job is having complete variation all the time. We're a business that only does commercial properties, and so there's a certain amount of structure. You don't have to go and deal with Mrs. Goggins, who can't be there for another hour because she's got to drop Tarquin off at the dentist. Don't want to get involved with people like that. Where I want to get involved with serious people that really value our services. So pest control in itself, if you remove it from the world, then you have a collapsing food system. You have a lot of diseases, and we're here to make sure the food system keeps going and make sure the diseases are all prevented. So it includes safe workspaces, but it also includes protecting food supply from all of the beasties that are trying to go after it, that have the same sort of tastes as us. So we're a small company. We've got 22 employees. We're turning over a couple of million quid, and we've still got a very family feel. We all.
To receive.
Okay. The first question is a difficult one, believe it or not. It sounds simple, but it's difficult. And I think I'll answer it in a simple way. You're dealing with rats, mice, and public health pests, including pigeons, including flies, including stored product insects, which is a massive variety, an array of specialist insects that get stuck into our food. So yeah, those are the sort of pests that you're dealing with. If you want to go bigger, then there are people out there that do wildlife management, and you can start talking about foxes and deer and all sorts of things like that. It doesn't really interest me. The nitty gritty of what makes a pest is you have a successful species that humans have come along and made a brilliant environment for. So it's something that's empowered by human activities, whether that be a rat and we built sewers for them to play in, or whether it's a beetle that lives quite happily under the bark of a dying tree, but then we put up a food manufacturing place where they've got a ready environment to move into, which is even more favourable. So that's what makes a pest a pest. You know how we all have a bit of ADHD in us now. Do you know what I mean? We like our attention spans are shortening with us being constantly attached to our phones, and a brand new bit of media being flicked in front of our eyes every 10 seconds. I mean, TikTok is a fantastic example of this. If you want a TikTokish kind of employment opportunity, yeah, pest control is a great one, because every single site is different. You're always having to react and respond to something different. Every single pest controller, no matter how long they've been doing it, has endless capacity to be embarrassed by the things that we're working with. Never work with animals and children. I think that's the old saying.
Yeah.
We work with animals every single day. So yeah, I find it endlessly fascinating. I've been doing it since I was 16, and yeah, there's just so much learning to be done. And I really got the impression when I started to get seriously into it when I was, I don't know, 21, something like that. When I started to get seriously geeky, that the learning really starts when you finish school. You've got to learn so much more. So it's great having the foundation, and it's great having the book learning, but by the time you get to the end of your education experience, you've kind of had enough of that. Please stop giving me the book learning. I want to learn some practical skills. I want to learn on the job. I want to actually start working towards my own talents rather than what the government says that I should be learning. I've used trigonometry maybe 3 times as well. So, you know, shout out for trigonometry.